Right guys, it's Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to London. We're going to have a look at the second-hand DRZ engine. Let's see what happens. Just to remind you what's happening, my DRZ engine has been quoted by the shop. The repair, the total cost of the repair, it's £870 plus VAT, and that equals, I believe, to 1,040 quid, 1,050, something like this. The parts and labour, but that's without changing the gearbox components, which are also required to be replaced. Changing the gearbox is extra labour, additional parts, and they estimated that to be an additional £450 plus VAT on top of that 1,050 I'm already paying. So that's ridiculous money if you ask me. And yes, a lot of you said do it yourself, which I'm planning to do at some point, but we get to that later. What we're going to do today is we're heading to London because I found a second-hand engine. Second-hand, apparently fully working, good condition engine for £600 plus fuel cost I need to get there. Well, that's a pretty good deal, I think. All the engines I've seen online, they've been ranging between £900 and £1,200. Why is this so cheap, you're asking? Well, the good question. I spoke to the guy, he sounds really genuine. He says he needs the money. He reassured me there's nothing wrong with it. He is a motorcycle mechanic, he bought it for himself as a spare engine. He done the valve clearances, he replaced some seals in the, can't remember where, but he replaced some seals. He inspected the engine as much as he could without firing it up, and he said everything has been working of the bike, done 12,000 miles, and nothing appears to be seized up. As far as he knows, the engine is good working condition. All it needs is fresh oil, slap it back in the frame and fire it up. Well, I'm hoping that is the case. On top of that, there was this engine I found on eBay. He had all the numbers stamped on and everything. There was a number of engines I've seen before. They were from a field bike, or the numbers are not on the engine, you know, dodgy as fuck basically. But this one seems genuine, and the guy got a good feedback, so I'm going ahead to inspect it, see what's gonna happen. And if it all seems okay, I'm gonna grab it for 600 quid. Which is originally what I want to pay for a repair. I was hoping the repair is going to be £600-700 tops. So if all goes well, by the end of the day today we're going to have an engine, and then later on I'm going to pick up my own engine. And what will that do? I have two spare engines I can play with. This one, if it's working, I can slap it back on the bike, put it back together, happy days, like the working motorcycle. In the meantime, that will give me more than enough time to get the tools I need, to save some money for the parts I need, and hopefully arm myself with a lot of knowledge. Well, saying that, I've never done this before, to upgrade the engine. I've got the original one, to repair it completely myself, service it. And that will be ideal, because later on, if all successfully done, I can put the original engine back in, and I have a brand new engine on my bike. And this one I can either keep for parts, or I can sell it on and get my money back. I don't know yet. Well, it's a speculation. We'll see what happens in the next couple of hours, because that's crucial. Anyway, I've got about hour and 40 to go. me to make my journey a little bit better. And that hopefully should work just fine. Guys, catch you back in London. See what happens. Righto, so I had a chat with a guy just now, and I'm feeling much better about it. He works as a mechanic in the local Honda garage. He was servicing this bike for a guy who owned the bike previously, number of times, and the guy smashed the bike. He had an accident on it. The bike was written off, so he bought the engine off him. He sold all the other parts, the guy bought the engine off him, and the reason he got the engine is he's doing like amateur kind of racing. He's using DRZ supermoto for the racing stuff, and he wanted to have a spare engine basically for his race bike, which is completely understandable. So he was planning to rebuild it. He did a top end rebuild pretty much, double check all the things, and then, as you know, it happens often, life, you know, got in a way, a bit of changes here and there, so he no longer requires it. That's why he's selling it on, but he promised me it was working absolutely fine. It's of a 2007 bike, which is exactly same as mine, done 12,000 miles, and best to his knowledge, it should be working absolutely fine. So fingers crossed. I shook his hand, give him the money. 600 quid it cost me. I think that's a reasonable price to pay for an engine like that. It's in the back of a truck. Let's go home, let's see what happens. Alright, so now we have potentially working replacement engine, potentially, because I really don't know, we need to test things like this. And the best way to test it, obviously, that engine, obviously, is to put it back in the frame. Simple, right? To do so, I need to fill it up with oil, I need to fill it up with coolant, which means I need to mount the radiator back on and all the hoses. I need to put the wiring loom on and connect it to the battery and all the wiring loom back to the engine where it belongs. And mount the carburetor, basically assemble the bike back together, more or less. I don't need to put the front or rear wheel back on it, but I will. The simple reason for that is security. I want the bike to be secure. I'm working on it, putting the engine back in the frame, moving it around all the time. I don't want it to fall back on me. So that's what I need to do next. Pre-assemble the bike as much as I can. Plus I'm a one-man band. I don't have people holding things around for me, like ignition barrel and petrol tank and this and that. I'm all by myself. So pretty much putting the bike back together, it will give me a good platform to slap the engine back in and test it the best I can. And no, I'm not putting the bike back together so I can test ride it. That's not the point of this exercise. This will come later if the engine is working. I just want to have secure and safe platform to test the engine inside the frame, and the best way of doing it, as I said, I'm guessing it's pre-assembling the bike back to its original state. Not all the panels have to go back in, not all the lights and everything. I'm not worried about indicators at this stage. I'm just worried about the engine, about the crucial components I want to mount back on the bike so I can safely test this engine in the environment I've got. This, I think, will be a story for another episode, because I'm running out of time, guys, today. It's been a long day. Well, anyway, wish me luck, and until next time, thank you very much for watching. Rock hard, have a beer, and I'll see you very soon.